So today, welcome to everybody. We are going to talk about what you want your practice to look like. And what got me started thinking about this is that I have a client that I did some business coaching with. Actually, we did a whole package of business coaching, and I worked with her while she was getting her certification, and she had a vision for what she wanted, and she thought she wanted to have a full-time practice. And by full-time practice, what I really mean is not so much 40 hours a week, but that's your primary source of income. That's really what I'm talking about when I say full-time. So I had this client and she thought that she wanted that. And she thought that it would be like the right thing for her family and all this kind of stuff. And she got certified and she started doing it. And she just found it wasn't a good fit for her. Like having a full-time practice, having her body talk practice be the number one thing that she did wasn't a good fit for her life. And so we were talking about this not too long ago. And of course, she had all the attendant like shame about that. Like, oh, I put all this energy into it and I promised people and I said I was going to do this and whatever. And like we put a lot of like um maybe pressure on ourselves and we invite other people to put pressure on us. I feel like sometimes when we're growing a practice and when we think, okay, this is going to be the thing I do. And the point of our whole presentation today is you don't have to do that. And as I've been developing this, and I've been thinking about this, like I've been developing it in my brain, and whatever comes through is going to be what comes through. But as I've been thinking about it, I've been thinking about like how sort of like countercultural this is actually, how rebel it is in a way to say you don't have to have a full-time practice. There's a context in BodyTalk in general that you're going to learn this stuff and then you're going to go out there and practice and and you're going to have a business like John had a business. It's just sort of this subtext. It's definitely an idea in a capitalist society that you're going to learn a thing and then you're going to figure out how to make money learning the thing. There's a lot of people get attracted into this work because we want to have an alternative way to make a living. Like I can't do corporate. Like I'm not cut out for it. I have certainly done it. I've sat there in my nylons in my cubicle and wanted to just like basically die for 9 hours a day. Can't do it. Just can't do it. And so when I personally, when I came across this, I started looking for like I knew I wanted to be some kind of healing practitioner and I discovered BodyTalk and it was a great fit for many, many reasons. One of which is that there was a lot of business support. That's part of the reason I chose to pursue BodyTalk. I was like, oh, there's a whole structure here, as opposed to like, oh, I don't know. I played around with, I learned a couple different things, but I landed with BodyTalk because there is a strong matrix, although I didn't know what the term was. Anyway, all that to say, the first thing I would just want to bring to everyone's awareness is that you may be running a kind of a little subconscious story that you're supposed to have a full-time practice. And you certainly can. Okay. So I'm not saying don't have full, I do, and I know a lot of people that do, but you don't have to. And we're going to talk today about we're going to give you an opportunity to sort of suss out for yourself, what do you want your business to look like? Because your business, I'm going to repeat this a few times, your business is for you. Your business is created to support you. It's not created actually to support your clients or the world and you're certainly not on the earth to support your business. Your business works for you and it's your servant and you have to support, you have to nourish it. But so often we get in over, or there's a potential for getting driven farther than we really want to go. So that's what we're talking about today. Come here, you. Okay. Oops. So let me just take a little half step back. And for those who haven't actually met me yet, I am Robin Mayberry. I am a practitioner in Washington State in Ellensburg, Washington in the US. I am a certified BodyTalk practitioner. I have been since 2008. I'm working on my advanced certification now. I'm finally getting around to that. Just because I'm hoping eventually to teach fundamentals. Right now, I am an access instructor, I'm a Brahma practitioner, and I'm a massage therapist. And so all of these things play into my practice. This is the healing work that I do. I have an in-person and online healing practice, and I use all of these things. I have personally been in all the different expressions of the full-time, part-time, sometimes. As recently as last year, I really committed, I committed to a coaching training program that was a year long and it was really intensive. And last year I actually closed, I can't remember, it's like a year and a half ago, something like that. Can't quite do the math now, but I closed my office. I moved everybody. I have like 75% in-person clients. I made everybody talk to me on Zoom. I closed my office. I was like, I'm going to do all this remote. I'm going to live out of a van if I want to. I don't want to. Neither does my husband. But I decided to like, I just really limited my practice. I brought it way down. It was super full-time. I was so full-time that I was like really burning out, which is why I was like, I'm going to go start going into coaching, which I do that now too. Though I did not mention that on the list. Anyway, so I went from super full-time, too much full-time. I mean, to me, it's too much full-time when I was counting down all day. Like I have 6 clients left. I have 5 clients left, 4 clients left. I don't want to feel like that. That's for me. Again, everything I say anytime is my point of view. It is not gospel. It is not scripture. It is not coming from above. This is my point of view. But for me, too much full-time is when I start counting down clients. And because I just want to be fully available and present for every single person I'm working with. I want to be totally there. I don't want to have some wheel in my head going like, how much energy do I have left? So that's too much full time. I've done that. Then I cut it way down. I cut my practice to like 25% of what it had been. I really took a hit so that I could focus on this coaching training program. And I learned that I actually like in person. And so, but at that point, like I went like, oh God, a good 6 to 8 months or something. I would say sometimes because I lost, like a lot of my people want to see me in person. They just want that. They want that in-person contact. And I hadn't really developed my Zoom, my remote clientele yet. So it really dropped off. And then it built back up because I built up my Zoom and online stuff, doing all the things that we share about in these booster Zooms. You know, I told people that I was doing it. It's really, if you want people to come and see you, you have to tell them that you're doing it. Anyway, I've had all of the expressions of the size of my practice, but I have always been in practice. I got certified in 2008. I literally got my first office, like a couple of weeks before my certification test. So I was like, and I did like the last of my 50 practice sessions in my own little office. I got certified. I was in business and I've always been in business, but I've been in business a lot of different ways. So if there's nothing else that you get out of our visit here today, I really am hoping that you will hear that you have permission to let your business be what it wants to be. And businesses, when I work with businesses, and I do matrix work with businesses too, I talk to the energies of business. I love business. I think it's really creative and dynamic and interesting, and they have their own life form. Like businesses are alive. They are an energy, and they will grow. They can flex. And we have a story, somewhat unexamined story. Maybe you're aware of this and maybe you're not. But in our culture, we have this idea that everything's an arrow that just goes up and up and up, which is crazy because that's not the way our world, I mean, that's not how nature works. And we are part of nature. Nature grows and then comes back down. And when it grows, it often grows bigger, not always. And then it comes back down. So we really have an expand and contract kind of everywhere in the natural world, and our businesses are often the same. You can force them to keep growing and growing and growing and growing. You can override that, like you got to keep going. You know, I mean, you can override any life form's desire to go dormant for a while. And people do that to stay in business and keep having quarter over quarter better and better profits. People do that, but that's not the way I play. And so I'm going to just invite you to know that your business is alive and your business is for you. And I use the words, because we're talking to practitioners here, I use the words business and practice interchangeably. So, you know, just know that. But there is a little bit of a difference because you can have a practice without a business and you can have a business without a practice. But for our purposes here, we're going to assume that even if you want to be a sometimes practitioner, well, if you want to be a sometimes practitioner, which is like every now and then, and you just work on your kids or you work on your friends or stuff, then you might, if you don't want to ever exchange money for what you do, then you don't need to have a business. But most of us, I feel like, if we're on this call, we probably have a business. So I use them interchangeably. So you certainly can have a full-time BodyTalk practice. We've got Vanessa here on the call, who is like my superstar hero, because if you don't know Vanessa's story, in a nutshell, she had a great practice in South Africa. Her husband got transferred to Seattle, Washington, across the globe. She came here cold start, didn't know anybody. And now, what's it been, 18 months, Vanessa? A little less than 2 years. And she's got a waiting list practice. All right, here, I'm going to let you unmute just for a second, Vanessa. Tell us how long you've been here and how full your practice is.
We arrived on July 1st, 2022, and I only started trying to build my practice sort of November 2022. And as it stands now, I am booking into the 3rd week of July. That is where my practice is now. So it's been, it's been great. And it's.
Thank you. Thank you. So there we go. And I too have a full-time practice. And I personally, I mix massage and BodyTalk. I like to do that. I like a lot of variety. But right now I've been doing about 75% BodyTalk and about 25% massage. But that flexes around too. I pair them. I make a little bundle of them. You can't do them at the same time. But I have a full-time practice. That's how I make my living. Once I finished that coaching thing and kind of I was like, I really missed my practice, and it built back up like from barely nothing. I really thought of it as this like bush that I'd over pruned. And within a couple of months, I was back to full time, and now I'm booked out. Like I'm booking now at the end. Well, yeah. Where are we? Yeah, towards the end of July. So, and that's as full as I like to be. I get fuller than that, I start to panic. I like to have a little bit of like flex in my life. So you can have a full-time BodyTalk practice. You do not have to have a full-time BodyTalk practice. It can come and go. It can change. You can see as many clients as you want. I was just listening to, I don't know, some kind of, I listen to a lot of business stuff because I'm interested in it. And I was hearing somebody say, I think it was a podcast, and somebody was like, hey, you could have one client a day if you want. You could have one client and just book them for 2 hours and charge accordingly. Like if that's what you want, you certainly can do it. We are going to get into like some of the practicalities. Well, we have some questions to consider. And one of those is like, can you afford to do that? But you certainly can. There's no like client police, you can have as many as you want. And then I have, on the other hand, like I have a massage therapist friend that sees 40 clients a week, which I think is totally bananas. Like I like to see no more than 20. And I'm a little happier at 15. That's somewhere I like to book 20, and then people always rearrange around a little bit. So that's like when I've booked 20, I close the week. And that's my full time. Like that's what works for me. But like it's different for everybody. You could book like 100 clients a week, and like people like John, who did it in the chiropractic way. I mean, I can't imagine how many. He probably saw 100 clients a week, like for real, because he'd see them for 15 minutes a pop, So you can do that if you want. You can grow. We kind of talked about this. You can ungrow. You can grow back. And just keep in mind this, like, your business is a life form that you have conceived and brought into the world so that it can facilitate you sharing your work and you making some kind of income from sharing your work. And you get to decide what that looks like. And it is here for you. It is it's a pitfall of self-employment of any kind, that there are so many things that you can be doing at any given moment, and there's so many people giving you suggestions and advice, and there's so many clients that need what you do, and there's so many opportunities to share, that you can be like working around the clock and serving your business like crazy. And there are times for it, and if you got the energy and the enthusiasm, then great. But don't kill yourself over it. Like really, it's just this is a relationship. And if you start feeling like you're putting more in than you're getting out, you're going to get burned out. You're going to be like, never mind. And I always like to say, it comes out of my mouth, but you don't want to have to go work at Target just because you got so sick of your practice. You're like, never mind. So when you start getting tired, flex. You have that permission. Okay, now here's where I was like, Robin, are you going to do it? I am going to do it. I sort of mentioned during the last booster Zoom that I might do this. And here we go. I'm going to tell you what my numbers look like, because I feel like there's like all this unnecessary mystery, and I got no problem talking about my numbers. So I'm going to share my numbers just so that you could know, like, this is what it looks like for one person. And again, I've been in practice for a long time. I have a lot of like, I'm established practitioner. And we're going to talk about this too. So I have about 15 to 20 clients a week. That's my full time. I do more than that. I'm starting to count clients. I don't want to do that. I've learned just that's what my limit is. Other people have different limits, and I have different limits at different times a year. So it's summertime. I can work a lot more in the summer. In the wintertime, I get like, oh, I just shut down. I do go dormant anyway. So, but I can flex that. I do spend about, well, I say half and half. That flexes around too. Right now, it's been much more BodyTalk than massage, but sometimes it's more massage. And that's just, I chose to set things up that way. I actually did BodyTalk before I went to massage school. And I already had a BodyTalk practice, and then I added in massage. So that's just what it looked like for me. And now I do coaching as well. I do business coaching for healers, for holistic people. My gross, and this is where people go, oh, you're gonna talk about your money? I am. I make about $6,000 a month gross-ish, roughly. That's a fair average. The thing I'm going to point your attention to here, when you start thinking about full-time, part-time, what is this? How does this work for your life? I do reinvest a lot in my business. So I take home about 3,000 a month. This might sound crazy, but I personally spend about $1,000 a month on continuing education. It sounds crazy when I say it out loud. I am actually still finishing paying for the coaching program that I was in. I do, but I'm just like, it's irresistible to me. In July, I'm doing a class with Ben. I'm doing a class with Tracy. I'm doing a group BodyTalk thing. Like, I just invest because this is my work. And so that does reduce what I take home because I put it back into my business, but I like to be good at what I do. It's just a thing. That's certainly not true for everybody. But anyway, that's why the 3,000 a month. Otherwise, it would be more like 4,000 a month. And I could live on that, but also I have a partner. So that makes it easier too. But otherwise, like, just keep in mind, whatever, like when I first got into business, I was like, oh, I'm going to make like 4,000 a month and I'm going to be so rich. Now that was, that was a while ago. And I've always kind of, I've just, even though I talk about money a lot too, but I'm on an upward spiral from having like being pretty low income for a long period of my adult life. So I'm easy to please, I guess I'll say. And I do, these online classes, they're talking about numbers that to me are, they're just like that. I can't vibe with like the $50,000 a month. Like, it's just not, that's not for me. If it's for you, like, power to you, great. Again, I'm just sharing what's up for me. Anyway, just keep in mind when you're making your gross numbers, you're going to have to pay for your rent. You're going to have to pay for your taxes. You're going to have to pay for your accountant, unless you're doing all your stuff. You're going to have to pay for your supplies. You're going to have to pay for advertising, marketing, events. There's just expenses. So your gross is not your net. And it's just easy to forget that, especially the taxes. Well, that's always hard. And I'm actually, believe it or not, I'm pro taxes. Like, I like to have a fire department and roads and schools and whatnot. I'm okay with it, but it's still, you got to set your money aside, because I've learned that one the hard way. And then I have the last number here. Oh, I think, anyway, I've got a little bit more, but I have about 100 regular clients. I asked myself that question not too long ago, like, how many people really see me on a regular basis? Like, who's really in my file cabinet that, like, I, keep, that they're current. I don't like go and like put them in long storage. And it's tends to be about 100 clients. I tend to see people about once a month. So I tend to see, however that math works, but some people come a little bit more, some people come less, some people, just come periodically. Some people are gone for a while and they come back. But it's about 100 rotating people. And the reason I share that number is it's not, to me, that's not a very intimidating number. I have a full-time practice with about 100 people. That's not that many people. So it's doable. It is doable. And again, because I've done so many online business classes and followed so many people on Instagram, and et cetera, I hear about these massive mailing lists and these huge like funnels, and people do the blah, blah, I don't know, these big numbers that then I get all like feeling bad about myself. But what I'm here to tell you is like, I have a working functional practice with 100 people, give or take. And then about 2 or 3 people, new people come in a month, and at this point, I don't do very much active advertising because I have a word of mouth practice. And that took a while, and I did all the things that we've talked about in all the marketing videos. But now it just happens. People just kind of come in. Oh, so-and-so told me about you, and so that keeps the circulation fresh. Oh, I need to just move this a little hair. Oh, hold on. I'm going to put this over here. Okay, so a few more numbers, a little bit more numbers for you. Again, shared in the hope that this just is helpful for you. I was recently reminded of the 1% rule, which I have found to be true. So when you're thinking about the size you want your practice to be and how involved you want to be in your practice and stuff like this, and you're like, how much effort do I have to put out to achieve that goal? A conservative estimate is that 1 of the 100 people you talk to is going to want your thing. 1. Now I have a really small, I mean, my list, people think a small list, if you ever followed any of this stuff and you're interested in, people think a small list is like 10,000 people, and a micro list is like 1,000 people. And my personal list is less than 300 people. But I actually know most of the people. Most of the people on my list, I could tell you who they were and how they found me. So I think I get a little better percentage, but I tend to get about 5%. So if I put a thing out, then, about whatever the numbers are, I get about 5% of my people are interested in the thing that I said, whether it's a class or I have a new service or I have a special or a selling gift certificates or whatever. I think it's very reasonable to say that somewhere between 1 and 5% of the people who hear what you have to say it's going to be a fit. And it's not, and that's just numbers. So the reason I share that with you is not to be discouraging, but so you don't think you're doing something wrong. If you've got 500 people on your Facebook page, let's just say, and you tell them about this amazing new, oh, I just started my BodyTalk practice, and I'm gonna offer a package for this price, and it's good until then, and 5 people sign up, you might think, oh, only 5 people signed up, but that's actually right. It's exactly right. So then you go, boom, I'm on. So this is where it becomes valuable to get in front of people, to grow your mailing list, which obviously I just nurture the little bitty list that I have. So that's just how I do things. I'm constantly agonizing that I should grow it more, but that's why you would, if I did and I put a thing out, then my numbers would be better. But right now I'm happy with my little practice the way it is. So I just share this with you so you don't think you're doing something wrong. The other thing I'm sharing, this not so much a number, but a concept, is that the longer you're in business, the easier it gets. So stick it out. I actually heard about this guy through the BodyTalk forum, and I got to go back and thank the person that turned me on. I found this guy. I'm going to share him with you. I'm actually going to make a note. I will share his information in the in the follow-up email, because I want to make sure you guys know about him. His name is Tad Hargrave, and his work is called Marketing for Hippies. And he is so down to earth. I've listened to a bazillion business things, and he is just so affirming and grounded and decent. So I really like this guy a lot. And he was just talking about this concept of don't dig another well. And so this is what we're talking about with longevity. Once you start your thing, you're digging your well. Just keep digging that well. Don't think like, oh, maybe people aren't coming. Maybe I should go start this thing over here. Maybe I should learn this thing. Maybe I should make that program. Maybe I should package things differently. Just keep doing your thing. Just keep doing it. It takes a while. And this is the thing that we don't get told a lot in our like super, quick payoff culture that we have, the instant gratification culture that we have. It takes time. So even if you're moving towards having a full-time practice, just know every day that goes by that you do another BodyTalk session, that you book another person, that you take another class, that you work on your Facebook page, that you've rearranged things in your office, that you get a poster printed. Every time you do anything for your business, you're building that longevity, you're taking another spadeful out of that well, and you will hit your water. It just does take time. And so now part of the reason why I was able to have a totally overdone practice, cut it down to next to nothing, and come and bounce back when I was like, okay, I want to go back to getting an office again. And I bounced back. I mean, it was really fast, like 3 months or something. And the reason that was possible is because I have been around. Excuse me. The reason that is possible is because I just reached out to people who have seen me in the past. Just said, I have an office again. And they said, oh, great. And they booked, because some people prefer that. And it just got me back in front of people, and I was able to just say, oh, and make them think about me again and all that kind of stuff. And it was pretty smooth, but it has everything to do with the fact that I've been doing this for a long time. So don't stop. That's what I'm saying. Just don't stop. You started whenever you started. When's the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago, but you have planted your tree. Just keep watering it. It does grow. It does get easier. Most of the work is in the beginning. So most of the efforting, if you will, is in the beginning. Another number is that I actually, in fairness, I've always had a second job because we have another business. My husband has a cleaning business, so I actually run 2 businesses. And so we've always had the cleaning business. I try not to have anything to do with it, but that's hard. But I worked full time as a caregiver for the first 3 years that I was a BodyTalk practitioner. And I didn't walk away from that until about 3 years in, when I finally had enough clients to be like, okay, I don't have to do this thing. So, and last but not least, a number I will share is, some people think this is too high. Some people think this is too low. I've gotten that feedback. This is what feels good to me. If you book an individual session with me, it's $155. If you book 4 sessions with me, it's $497. That works. I feel like I can just say that with a straight face without being like, well, because and da da da. And nor do I feel resentful when people pay that. So that's a sweet spot for me. None of this is what you need to do, but I feel like it's helpful sometimes to know at least a little bit what other people are doing. So we are going to think about you now and your business and your practice. So you can grab a pen and paper if you want. I will share these questions also. And if you're seeing this on YouTube, you can pause it. If you're watching it, or if you get the follow-up email, then I will share these questions in the follow-up email too, so you can just find them easily. But these are things to consider before you go full-time. So I will just back up and say, I had every intention when I took my BodyTalk fundamentals and got certified. I had every intention of having full-time practice. That's what I went in for. I was like, this is what I'm going to do. This is going to be my life. This is going to be my work, and it has been. So I walked in that way, and a lot of people I know walk in this way. And that, again, tends to be the people that we talk to when we're talking about teaching classes, is you can have a full-time practice. You can leave your corporate job. You can. Okay. But you don't have to. All right. Let's just say that you don't have to. But before you're like, okay, boohoo, I'm going to have a full-time practice. These are things to think about. And don't assume that you already know these answers. I will invite you to consider some of these things. What kind of business do you want? So here's just some thoughts. Like, these are things that a lot of these things are important to me. That's why it occurred to me. There might be other things that did not occur to me. I like to have a flexible business. My kids are finally grown up, but I was raising, let's see, my youngest was like 5 or something when I got into BodyTalk, and I needed to be flexible. Then both my kids are autistic. They needed a lot of like adaptation. I needed to be able to just like flex around, go to appointments, homeschool at various points, things like that. It was essential. I could not have a job where I had to ask somebody's permission every time I had to run off to take my kid to something, because that was constant. So for me, that's a big part of the reason I was like, I think I need to be self-employed. Do you want a sustainable business? That's why I talk a lot about like watch that burnout thing. In fact, we have a whole video on that, avoiding burnout, on the YouTube channel, because it can sneak up on you and you can overdo and overgive and under receive, and next thing you know, you're hating everybody, and that's not what you got into this for. So keep in mind, as you're developing your business, like what are your limits? It's so easy to think, what are the limits? And that, no, it's what are my limits? That's what makes a sustainable business, is what do I have to give? And it doesn't matter what other people have to give. It's what do I have to give? That's the limits of sustainability. Most people want to make great money, money, it's a thing. I have a mortgage. I need to make money. And we have lots of videos about that too. In fact, the most recent one, Witch Merchant Monk, talks a lot about things that can get in the way of us making money, but most people start a business to make money. So you're allowed to do that. I personally think business is really creative, and some people, you don't have to be this person, but some people love making writing emails, and maybe I love writing emails. I don't so much like doing social media posts, but many people really love that. People like to create events and programs and workshops and things like that. Those are all creative. Advertising and marketing is creative. You might want to make sure you've got time so you can take time off, like more than just flexing your day, but flexing your month, or your year. So you can go to Europe for a month, or you can like get ready for an art show or whatever. And I think most BodyTalk practitioners would think that your business has to mean something. We're not really widget pushers. We're trying to make a difference in the world. But keep that in mind as you're developing your business, is like, that's what you're here for. Or if it is, what are you here for? Why are you making this thing? So these are some questions to think about, and some questions to think about. Or the next question is, how many hours? This is an ongoing question. And again, I think I've sort of touched on this, but this changes. How many hours a week or a month? Like some people, I know this hair person that's a client of mine. She's a hairstylist, and she thinks in month, and she wants to have 100 clients a month. I think in week. I don't want to have more than 20 clients a week. Some people think in a year. I want to make so much a year. So however your metric is, or a day, I mean, I don't want to have more than 5 clients a day, for example. But it's just what works for you. Most people don't think more than a year. That's kind of crazy. A quarter, people think in terms of quarters, for sure. So think about that, like what works for you. And maybe some people, maybe you can work more in the winter or the summer and less But it's just something to consider as you're setting things up, as you're setting your own expectations, so you can communicate that with your clients. The risk question is another question to really consider. It is risky to be in your own business. If you want complete security, then go work at the county courthouse. And even that's, I mean, honestly, every job, something could happen, people get laid off and stuff, and there's always an element of risk. But having your own business has an element of risk, because things happen. And it's just, you might have more clients, you might have less clients, you might not be able to work, your office situation might change, things just happen. So in order to be happy running your own business, it's helpful if you're at least a little bit comfortable with risk. And if you're not comfortable with risk, but you really want to do this, then may I suggest that you grow very slowly. Like, just give yourself time, grow at the speed of your own nervous system. So if you're like, I don't really like risk, like my husband, we have this cleaning business. He started it in the year 2000 because somebody sold him a mop and a bucket, and I kid you not, and gave him one account, and he was like, okay. And since from there, it's like now a 6-figure business. But it grew so slowly because he doesn't like risk. He's not a risk guy. So he would only take on what he really felt like was going to work for him. And it's been very like, but it's been a really stable business because of that. So if you don't like risk, you can still be in business. Just take it very, very slow and listen to yourself, check in on yourself. It does help as you're transitioning. If you want to be in full-time practice, it helps to have some money in the bank. It helps to have a partner. Do you have any of that? If you don't, I mean, that just plays in. If you don't have anything saved and you don't have someone else, at your back, then just know that you're going to have to do a lot of bust your butt to get your clients quickly. If you want to do that, you certainly can. Just, these are all ideas to think about as you are making your plan of like, how am I going to do this? And lastly, do you have another job, or another source of income of some kind? Many people do. And I did, like I said, I had a full-time job, and then I saw my clients around that job, and it was fine. And for a long time. And until it finally grew to where I couldn't do both, and then I let the other job go. So these are all options. Okay. And then we're nearing the end. Thank you for sticking with me through all this. Just a few thoughts. Again, to offset this, like, well, now you did this, you did all these things. I mean, it's an investment to learn BodyTalk. It's a financial investment. It's a time investment. It's an energy investment. This is not a quick and easy. Like, you've gone into this, you've already invested a certain level of commitment just to be here right now. So it can be easy to think like, now I have to do something with it. And you actually don't. You learned BodyTalk. That's what you did. And I think I've made it clear that you certainly can. But if you're like, I'm not sure this is my jam, or I'm not sure it's my jam right now, or I'm not sure that I really have the bandwidth right now to like be doing a lot of marketing or that kind of stuff, that's okay, because you still know BodyTalk. So it's, once you know it, like, people are going to show up. You're going to be doing it. You're going to be doing BodyTalk for the rest of your life. Good luck stopping. I only know one person in my 16-year career that stopped doing BodyTalk, and I still am like, how do you stop doing BodyTalk? Like, it's in you now. So you're going to do it. You learned it, you know it. You don't have to monetize it. And if you do want to monetize it, you can have an itty bitty practice there. Okay, I'm going to think of some of my close colleagues. We've got 2 people that I know that have full-time practices. I've got one person in a close colleague circle that has another intense full-time job, and she sees a few clients. I got another person in my close colleague circle that recently retired from like an IT job, and she sees, maybe 5 clients a week or something like that because she wants to. And another one that had a booming practice, had a baby who is now a toddler, and she's got, she has still an intimate practice, I would say, because things change. So you can have your business and just keep it small for now until things change again. That's totally fine. You can not have a business. You can just be like, I don't want to make money doing this. I just want to like do it for people that I love. And then in which case I invite you to like walk away from the whole business doing thing if that's what you want, because just having a business involves like paperwork and, checking accounts and taxes and things like that, just to have one. So if that's not your jam, it's okay. You don't have to do it. You can come back later. And I feel like I've said this, but you can come and go. You can drop back. If you have a baby, you can go from full-time to part-time. Then the baby goes to school, you can go from part-time to full-time. You can go back to school, you can go from full-time to part-time. You can graduate from school, you can go from part-time to full-time. It's like, it's up to you. It's your thing. It's really your jam. So here's where we leave you. This is your business. It's your self-expression. It's your contribution to the world. It's your interface is really what a business is. It's like, I have this thing, I want to share it with people. The business is the bridge. You get to decide what you want that to look like. You get to decide where BodyTalk fits. And that includes, like, if there's a number of people like in our association who have, like, there's therapists and people that do a lot of other modalities that blend BodyTalk in with, and I'm one of them, that blend BodyTalk in with other modalities. We've got a therapist, we've got a person that does like a couple of Hakomi, we've got a family constellation person. You can totally blend BodyTalk. You just get to see where it fits. You can change it. You don't have to make a living. And all of this is for you. You didn't get into business to make your family happy. You didn't get, maybe you thought you did, but let me invite you. You don't have to do this. Your business doesn't have to make your family happy. It doesn't have to make the world a better place. It doesn't have to make you rich. It doesn't have to replace anything else. It can just kind of, you can be in a dance with it and kind of see what feels right and shift and change and adapt according to where your life is in the moment. And if you just stay, just keep your BodyTalk certification, keep your memberships up, keep offering practice sessions on a at least semi-regular basis, and stay in the game, and you will have continuing options. You don't have to force it. You don't have to plan it. You don't have to should yourself at all. This is your thing to make what you want. So I hope all this was helpful. That feels like a big long rant on my part, but this is something I'm really into. Like, let this be your thing. So if you want a little more support from the Pacific Northwest BodyTalk Association, we are located in person in the Seattle area, but as we can see from our diverse audience, we are international, online, and we made the decision. Like, yeah, we're available. If you're a BodyTalk practitioner, come over and hang out with us, because Seattle is like, we're the tech place. So maybe this is the right place to be holding the online business community, or at least one of the places. So we've got Booster Zoom recordings on our YouTube channel. I just, we have the Launch Your BodyTalk Business Checklist, which is, I'll share that link too, but at the MailChimp link. And if you would like to be a professional member of the PNW BTA, which we highly recommend, then it is totally worth your dollar, because you get a complimentary session from one of our 5 board members, which those sessions average about $200 a session, and membership is $80 a year. And we have networking things go on, expo opportunities and stuff. And we have our website, which is just about to be, our new and improved website is like, just had some tweaks. It's about to be revealed. We're excited. So you get a professional listing there. So join us. And that is what I wanted to share with you today. Thank you so much. I profoundly appreciate you being here with us.